Welcome back to Conversations where we sit down one on one. And today we have a very intriguing young lady who is joining us today. I'm just, as I told her when she came on, I was just doing some research. Um, Author of the brand new book, Dear Alpha Female, It's Not Him, It's You, Christal Jordan. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So, Christal, now am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
It's Christal.
Is it Crystal? Okay, so let me not put the Al on there because we always be doing the most. So, Crystal, talk a little bit about your experiences on what led you to the place where finally you were like, okay, let me help out ladies who may be like myself, maybe
Yeah.
like in my circle, to kind of attract the love that they need or want.
Well, it was a long process. Honestly, I was a classic overachiever, went to school, was constantly, trying to get good grades, always trying to do that. And I realized later that that is a part of, a lot of us, especially women of color. I grew up in a home with my mom and my brother. And I felt like my job early on was to make sure that I did everything right so that it would be easier on my mother. I know my mother was struggling. And so I was that kid that was sitting in the front of the class, always got good grades. If there was something wrong with, if I got a B, I was trying to figure out why, why I wasn't in an A. And that was the pattern. I went to college, I got married, had children, and I was really like on this path to what I envisioned success to be, right? A lot of us are like that. We are told that we are supposed to be the pride of our families. I was the first generation college graduate. My mother was a nurse, but I was the first one to actually go to college and get a degree. And so everything was going fine. I had created this life that I felt like was going to be the opposite of how I grew up, in this single parent family struggling. I was married. My husband at the time was an engineer. My two children were involved in all the, chess club, ballet, everything was on the right path. And then I went through a divorce, very, very painful divorce. And that was really the first time I had failed at something really big because I didn't feel like failure was an option for me, right? A lot of us are just driven by this need to be perfect or this need to achieve all these things so that we are we're changing those generational curses that we hear about. So after going through that divorce, I really it shook me up. Not only did I lose the love of my life and my best friend, but I did not want to be a statistic. I didn't want my children to be a statistic. And it was just very difficult to feel like I was trying to create this life that was anti how I grew up and I wasn't able to do it. So I end up in Atlanta, single with two children, the typical stereotype, single mom, career woman, driven, alone. And so I don't know if you know a lot about the narrative of Atlanta, but you constantly hear there's 25 men to every one woman. And there's all this, all this negativity. Black men feel like Black women they're intimidated by career women. There's all this negative rhetoric happening when it comes to Black love. And I will admit, at first I kind of bought into some of that. I was very driven. I took all the failure that I felt, all the heartbreak, and I put it into work and I put it into raising my children. And as a result, I did not really leave a place open, for love. I did not leave a place open for that side of myself. And so when I would go on dates, I don't think I would go on dates with a hopeful energy. I would go on dates because I felt like it was something I needed to do or I should do, but I didn't really have a lot of a positive feeling about it because I had been hurt so badly. I'd seen so many other women hurt so badly. We hear the stereotypes that this is not going to work. And so I came to a point where a friend of mine told me, she said, Christal, I think the issue, because at this point I've been single for almost 10 years, she said, I think that the issue could be us. And I was like, no, could not be. Like, I'm a good woman, I take care of my family, I take care of my home, I'm a hard worker. Like, what could I be doing wrong? So I went on Iyanla Fix My Life. And Miss Van Zant shared with myself and the other ladies on the show that a lot of times when we are consumed with work and there's no balance, basically, first of all, I was consumed with work and chasing that based on fear, right? Fear of not wanting to go back to how I grew up, fear of not wanting to end up being this stereotype. But then I also was working and there was not a balance there. I was not loving myself unconditionally. And so it would be very difficult for someone else to come into place and love me unconditionally, because that's not how I was showing up. And basically, it was an aha moment for me. I left that experience. I started counseling, and I changed the way I approached dating. And I really needed to change the way I approached my own life. I started trying to apply balance, and realizing that no matter how amazing you are at work, that does not necessarily mean that you would be amazing as a partner. It's the ability to relate to others, the ability to have empathy, the ability to feel and enjoy life that makes you a great partner. And that's what this journey has been about. And so after going through that, about a year and a half later, I ended up being proposed to. I got married to an amazing man. And I wanted to share that journey with a lot of women because, like you said earlier, every woman around me was the same as myself. We're very hard workers, entrepreneurs. Our work, there's not a balance between work and life. There's work, and work defines many of us. Work offers us an ability to have like self-pride. And a lot of us are not focused on anything outside of that. And so when you are dating, that comes across. It comes across that imbalance there, and it just doesn't work, to your benefit. So that's what this journey is about, and that's really what this book is about.
Well, it's interesting listening to you because I don't know if you can tell, I am slightly older than you, and I come from a different generation, right? So in my generation, when I was listening to you talk about the intimidation factor that men have, we never really thought about, like your job is your job, your career is your career. But if you leave out space or carve out a space that you want to be in a relationship, we can figure that out. Now, I have, in listening to you, have met women in my time who were really consumed with, I've been in a marriage, it didn't work. I'm gonna put all that energy into raising my kids and making sure that they're gonna be all right. And that's okay. If you don't leave space. So I guess I'm saying all that to say, Christal, that your journey is very interesting, and I think it really will help a lot of people out. But I also think that there's a flip side that people will come back and go, okay, well, all that was good, Christal, but you had to open yourself up. So you talked about your aha moment with Iyanla Vanzant. What do you have in your book, or what part of your story, and I guess this is more rhetorical than anything else, would be an aha moment for people who are sort of in that same place, who are driven, who are really, really working hard, but not really having the balance that you discussed earlier?
Well, I think the biggest thing, is just realizing that when you're not balanced, I talk to women, like I said, that are like myself, that are so driven by work that they're not happy, right? So I myself would go to bed with my laptop, and I say that in rooms of women, and women are like, yeah, me too. I wake up looking at my cell phone, checking emails. And that is, I went to Barbados recently with a group of very successful women, and most of those women have that same, that's their same experience. And it's not really about, this is going to get you love. I think it's really more about finding balance. I think that for a long time, especially women of color, have felt like we have to work to earn our keep, right? We have to work to prove our worth. And I think that's the difference. It's not about, intimidating someone else. It's really about you not realizing that there's more to you than what you do at work. There's more to you than what you have in the bank, what you've been able to amass. And a lot of us do come from humble beginnings, and we feel like the goal is to be successful. But I think there's this idea that success is more, it's more inclusive of things than just work. Right? It's health, it's wellness, it's mental health, because that's a big thing as well. For myself, when I was at the height of my career, my PR agency was doing the best, I was waking up with migraines every day from stress because there was no balance. And so really this message is about, you must have balance. How can you expect to meet the love of your life and have this great big love affair if you are driving yourself crazy with the work and not allowing any other parts of yourself to be present, right? No, it's not about men being intimidated. It's really about you not having space for someone else, right? Because you really haven't made space for you. We've made space for work. We've made space for accomplishments, for portfolios and properties and things like that. But you're really not making space for yourself. And when you don't do that, it's reflected in what comes up, and relationships are a big reflection of ourselves. So that's really the biggest message in the book.
All right. Well, we will drop intimidation. We'll go for balance.
I like that.
Balance is, no, seriously, balance is very important. And I've always been a proponent that some people get it early, Christal. Some people get it in the middle of their lives. Some people get it late. I got it really, really late. Like I didn't understand until I was almost in my 50s, or actually over 50, to really find the love of my life. So I think everybody's journey is unique. And but I'm glad that you're out here with this book and attempting to really help people, because people, we live in a society right now with social media and all of the different things that distract us on a daily basis. And I have a feeling that people are interested in wanting to, when we send our representatives out, that we are presenting in one way, but there are a lot of people that are really, really hurting. And I think that your book would really, really aid a lot of those ladies and some other folks who are, men can be helped as well in learning these stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with what you said about social media, because there's so many people that we work so hard at creating this representative, right? You work so hard at making sure that that you have the right, that the career is doing great, that you look amazing, and there's really no such thing as perfection. And so when you create this image that is photoshopped and it's not really the true you, it's hard to meet someone and expect them to be able to embrace you when you haven't even embraced yourself. A lot of us are embracing our representatives and pushing that representative out to the public. But see, a real relationship, not one that's for social media, but a real relationship that's going to feed you. You're going to have to let that person see you vulnerable. You're going to have to let them see your imperfections. You're going to have to let them see those things that you're working on, that you're still struggling with. And that's hard for a lot of people, because we are in a society that projects perfection is key. And I think that's also one of the things that hurts us a lot when we're trying to connect with relationships. So many people are looking for my representative and your representative, but that doesn't last. It's not going to last, past an Instagram post. And that's what we see a lot of right now. And I do think, like you said, a lot of people are hurting behind their profiles, behind those images that they've procured and curated. And this is really about me saying, my job was a publicist for over 20 years. My job has been to make things look pretty and make things look perfect. And I'm saying for myself, that actually was hurting me. That was actually hurting me, because it's very unnerving to allow someone to see behind that mask, to allow someone to see behind that facade that you've put up. But if you want something real, and this, you have to be able to allow someone behind that, and you have to find value in yourself behind the mask as well. That's the first step to it. So that really is my intent with this. One of the things that Iyanla Vanzant said to me on the show, it said to all of us, was 4 of us that went on the show, is that this really isn't for you. This is really for the women that you can help. The title of our show was like Boss Chicks Winning at Business and Losing in Love. And I see that so much. I'm a representative of how that looked. People thought my life was amazing, but if I'm honest, the things that I can control were great, as far as, making sure I was a hard worker, making sure my business was doing well. My children were doing well, but there's a part of me that was very lonely. There's a part of me that was, very stressed and full of anxiety, because I was trying to constantly, be something and not ever really just acknowledging and accepting myself as I was, and so that journey started. And when I was able to do that, I was able to welcome a man into my life, and not to put up that representative for him. And the result was me finding a beautiful relationship.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy for you, because I know that anytime you find somebody that you can do life with, it's always a wonderful thing. The book is called Dear Alpha Female. It's not him, it's you. Christal, where can people get the book?
So, well, first of all, I want to say the second part of it because women especially, that title throws them off. So it's Dear Alpha Female. It's not him, it's you, but it's an interactive devotional designed to help you attract the love you deserve. And so I'm saying to women, it's nothing wrong with being an alpha female. Basically, an alpha female is a woman who is great at business. She's a leader. She's someone that other people can have confidence in and is able to do amazing things. But with that, we can always become better. And there are parts of ourselves that we need to work on. And so that's really what this book is about. But the book is everywhere. It's on Amazon.com. You can also go to BarnesandNoble.com or BNN.com. And also you can go to the website, which is DearAlphaFemale.com, and order the book there as well. So it's everywhere. I'll be doing events across the country. We did our first book launch here in Atlanta, and there were about 80 women that came out to our Lit Diaries here in Atlanta, Georgia. And we just had a great conversation about being a professional, ambitious, driven professional woman that still, is working on the rest of that, working on motherhood, being a wife, being a girlfriend, being a good friend to others, being a good daughter, all those things come into place. And my message to women is you've got to, being an overachiever, a lot of times that can be a good thing, but if it's driven by fear, if it's motivated by fear, we have to find a new motivation because fear will only take you so far and eventually it will start to hurt you. And so when you're talking about lasting relationships that feed back into your soul, those cannot be motivated by fear. So that's what the book is about. And I really hope that it does help other women the way this journey has helped me.
All right. So, I will stay in touch. I'll wait until I get a small businessman's loan and then I'll come and get in PR to do some work with us. So that's another conversation. But young lady, you take care. It has been wonderful spending time with you today and continued success.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim.
All right. You take care.
Bye-bye.